Hey, welcome to Pocket May, and today I'll be making my second Minecraft tutorial title thingy video, because the first one is pretty outdated, so I wanted to make a new one, maybe explain a little better. Well, the first thing you need is a Photoshop Creative Cloud with access to the 3D tab. So if you have Photoshop and you don't have the 3D tab, then you won't be able to make the things I'm gonna show you in this video. Another thing you need is a couple of Minecraft fonts that I will be linking in the description. It's Minecraft 10, 5 bold, and if you want to, you can also have Minecrafter Alt. Starting off with the main title, you can choose either Minecraft 10, which is this one right here, which looks like Minecraft, but without cracks in the text. If you want to have cracks in the text, you can either just draw them on if you want that, or you can use Minecrafter Alt. Which is this one. It looks a bit different. It's not as good as Minecraft 10, but it works. I want this one because I like it. When you have your title, you want to right click on the layer and press New 3D Extrusion from selected layer. And what this will do is just make the text a 3D object that you can move around. It's also gonna send you to the 3D tab right here. If you don't have the 3D tab added to your tabs, which you can do by going to Window and pressing 3D, which will add this little thing right here, which is the layer tab for 3D items that you can just place in somewhere. I have it right here next to my layers. Or you can just switch over to the 3D tab from here. Once you have your 3D tab, make sure you have the actual text selected, and you can rotate it around so you get the right angle on the text. You can just test your way around until you find like a good spot. That's about right for me, I think. You can now see that it's too thick. So one thing you can do is go to the extrusion depth, and you can just take the slider and drag it down. I think that looks good, something like that. It depends on the size of the project, of course. So if you have a really small project, then that would probably not work. I have a 4K screen, so it's like 2000 times 2000. If you want to see the size of my image, it's right here. Just play around with the slider and the rotation until you're happy. And the next step is to just remove the cast shadows, which will prevent shadows from being cast on the background around the text. You only want the text, not anything around the text. One more thing I suggest you doing is just selecting the infinite light and just rotating it just moving it a little bit, so all of the different faces have a different shade, so you can easily make them out. Once you have something that looks like this, you can just go back to your layers tab and right click on rasterize 3D. This will make it a flat image again. If you can't make your way to the layers tab, you have to go up here to this image right here and go back to essentials, which is where your layers tab will probably be. And for everybody that says, oh wait, no, you should actually render it, which will, render the image with shading and all that stuff, I won't be doing that because I want this image to not be the final image. This is just a shell so I can see the shape of the text, the angle of all the sides. This is not the final image, and we really just want this to be like a template to see all the shapes. So the next steps, I usually just use my magic wand, put the tolerance at about 10. Depends on if it really depends on how light all the sides are. Just make it non-continuous, because that means I can just select one of the sides and it will just select all of the front sides of the text. So you can do the same with like the sides and all that, but we want to select the face. Make sure it's not anti-aliased, because that will also make the sides blend into each other, and you don't want that. Just make sure you have about 10 in tolerance, don't have continuous, checked, and not anti-aliased. Yes, select all the front sides, and this is where you want to change the color. Me, for example, I probably want to have it close to the original color, but you can just choose two colors. For example, if you want red and blue as the gradient, you just have those two colors right here. Find the gradient tool. Maybe it looks like a paint bucket. Just right click it and you have the gradient tool right there. You can also press G. Make sure you have the foreground and to background preset. And then just hold down shift and drag it down. If it's the wrong way around, you can just drag it from the bottom up, and there you go. Now you have your gradient. Though I don't want that. I don't want the color green and blue, so I will be color picking from a reference image that I have. So that's the front side done. Now we want to make the bottom side and all the inner sides and all that. So we will just have to manually select all of those. This time you can just check this so you don't select everything that has that color. You just want the bottom side like that. If you have the text that I sent cracks, this could be a little harder to do, but just try your best. Once again, just choose a color that you want. I will be just color picking from my reference image, and you just draw with the color. Yeah, I think you can just use like a paint bucket if you want to. And to then make the last bit of the text, I just keep the bottom side selected, use my wand to select the front side, select the background, and then Control-Shift-I to invert it, which only leaves the inside left, as you can see. And you want that to be a pretty dark color, I guess, in most cases. So just once again just color pick from my reference image right here, and then just draw or paint bucket, and that's it. That's all of the colors right, done and finished. One more touch you can do is to make some highlights on the text, like this, but with a different color, of course. So what you can do is just draw manually. That's what I do, because that often gets the best result if you just draw yourself on all the sides. If your text is tilted the other way around, then you will of course select these parts instead of the bottom parts. Now the only part left on the basic title, main title, whatever you call it, is the stroke. Of course, you can just double click on this one to get the layer style. You can also right click and blending options, and you can just make a stroke like this. That's a stroke. Bam, you're done. But it doesn't look as good because the corners are round. So now comes the tricky part. The only way in Photoshop to get round to square edges on a stroke is to make it a shape. So if you want a square stroke, you will need to select the whole thing in strokes like this. No, with a pen, not a stroke. You have to select it with the pen tool. So you can just, with the pen tool, manually click on all the edges and select it like this. That's the best way to do it, because you can make it as accurate as you want. But if you're lazy like me, you can just hold Control and click on the preview of the layer to get it selected. Go over to your Path tab. If you don't have the Path tab, once again just go to Window and it's right there. You press this thing right here, which makes selected, make work path from selection, it says. So there you go, it just made it for me. The thing is that this AI isn't perfect, so sometimes it doesn't get it all right. So sometimes it makes mistakes, like right here. That dot right there is supposed to be up here, and because it isn't, you can see that the selection thing goes a bit around the edge, like around, I don't know, something. So to fix that, just deselect and select the work path, right click and add an anchor point with your pen tool. You have to do that because if you don't deselect and select again, all of the points are selected, which means if you move it around, you're gonna move the whole thing, and you don't want that. Just click to remove that one. If you can't remove that, just select the delete anchor point tool. So once you have your path, just edit all of this so you have a straight line. To change the angle of these curves, just hold down Alt and you can rotate it, or you can just curvature. No, it's not curvature. Which one is it? Convert point. And you can just drag it around. There's gonna be a lot of mistakes, definitely. And you just need to go around looking for them. And when you think you're done, you just go over to Edit, go down to Define Custom Shape, which will make a custom shape from your path. Just type something, hello, sure. And with your custom shape tool, it could look like a rectangle tool or something like this. Just right click on it and select the custom shape tool. Go up to shape and scroll down. Yeah, I have a lot of these, you see, because of all the logos I make. But at the bottom you should find yours. If you hold over it, it should say the name, I think. Yeah. So select it and just drag it out like this. Put it under your text and hide it so you can't even see it, like this. Just transform it around the edges like that. Now you shouldn't be able to see it. Then have it selected and change the fill to the same color as this dark color you chose, like that. And then you want to add the stroke, of course. So in the stroke options, make sure you have a line on the outside and corners to square. Then make sure your stroke is the same color again as that dark part, or just black. You can really just choose which color you want to, but I'm gonna make it like this. And then drag out the stroke. If you don't like this blue outline, you can go to path and deselect the shape path. And just like that. That's good. So that's it. That's the main title. Good job if you followed along. Woo! For this part, I'm gonna show you the subtitle that looks like the edition text. You know, like Java edition, Bedrock edition, that string of text. The font we're gonna be using for that one is 5 bold, which looks like this. That's the text. That's the font, I mean. And the steps for this one is pretty similar, so if you have followed along for the main title, I will be skipping through a little bit. But you have your subtitle, you type your text and make it a 3D extrusion. Rotate it, you can move it too if you want to. You have all of your tools up here if you can't see them on your slider. When you think you have the right rotation and place, you can remove the cast shadow and also edit the 3D extrusion. I think that looks good, probably. Remember the infinite light. And once again, just rasterize it, like this. The subtitle is easier to do than the main title, so you have a few steps when you color it. The first one is to once again select the front face and make it your color. That's not the color I want. I want this color. The subtitle only has 2 colors, so if you have the front face selected and you just also select the transparency and Control Shift I, now you have everything but the face selected. And for this you can just, once again, with your paint bucket, just select it. And with your colors, once again fixed, you have to select it and make it a path. And of course this one has a lot more shape to it, so you probably want to make sure the path is right. So I'm just gonna fast forward this part so you can see how it looks when I when I go around checking for flaws. And after that you just make your new path shape. So this is, yeah, you don't even have to name it if you don't want to, but I just like to have your darkest color selected, then as the fill color, that is. Then select your shape and drag it out, put it under your title logo thing, make sure it's behind. You should probably just make it this color again, the same as your stroke, because you're gonna add a stroke anyway, so that doesn't matter. Change your stroke settings and then drag it out like this. And if you ever feel like you missed a path point like I did over here, you can see that I messed it up like this. Oh no, it's not correct. Do I have to start over? No, you can just, if you want to, you can just rasterize the behind the layer you have that's your stroke. Then with your lasso or polygonal lasso, you can just draw it, just remove it. I don't know, just make sure you have anti-alias on, and then just remove it like that. You see how I did that? Just drew across the line. So you can just do that if you ever feel like you missed something in the path. And there you go. That's the hello woo hoo hoo goo goo title done. If you instead feel like you want the update title, like the Nether update, aquatic update, combat update maybe. For that you probably want this one that says hello. No, not the font, not the actual text. The Minecraft 10, because it's the one that looks like the text without the cracks, because they don't have cracks. I mean, they have small cracks, but you can't really replicate that in Photoshop unless you actually make a font that is so precise with the cracks. I can probably sometime, if I know how to make a font, actually make a font that has the cracks in it. And if that's so, you can probably check the description and I have added it. But if I haven't made the font, then it's not there. So we want this one to say cool update exclamation mark yeah, you know, like that. I can't even say things, bruh. Make it a color. That's the color I want, for example, as usual. But this time you put it under the title, not up over it. It should be behind. Make it on 3D extrusion, and this time rotate it downwards. Okay, and put it like this behind. You can use the square in the middle to scale it, you know, like this, up and down to scale it. You want it to be, you want this line right here to be the same angle as that line, and you also want your logo to like hit the side like that. That you see, it doesn't hit right there, so you have to edit it, make it really long. You can just take that part out later. Wait, maybe not that long. You find the perfect spot for it. You want to take the infinite light and then just flip it upside down like this. So you once again have your face, light, and the sides dark. If you have it like this, yeah, you can't even see what's happening. So just do the same thing as before with the infinite light, but reverse. Remove the cast shadow. I guess you can just make sure this isn't too long. We're gonna remove everything above this line anyway, so it doesn't matter. But when you have that, just once again rasterize it, and we can take the polygonal lasso and just select everything above this point with the cool update and just remove it. See, now it doesn't stick out. And let's just do the same thing as we did with the title. So first thing off, you want a stroke on the text. And this time I want it to be a blue and slightly different aqua-ish, turquoise. Select the front with your magic wand with non-contiguous and non-anti-alias. Find your gradient tool and just make sure that the lightest color is at the top and the darkest color is at the bottom. With this one, you have the lightest color here and the darkest color there. So you just want the light to make sense. Like if the color comes from here and then hits at this angle, That's why you have the highlights right here and why it's darker at the top. So the same will go in this direction. It should be lighter here and darker there, and then highlights at this point. Once again, shift and drag it down like that. And now we want to select all of these tops. Now you can see that because of the angle, some of these are messed up. So this isn't supposed to be like this. This is wrong. So take your polygonal lasso, make it not anti-alias. Just from the corner of the thing you want to have selected, all the way up to here. You can see there's some dots right here. That's the edge of the thing clipping through. So just line that up, go all the way around the selection like this, and bam, now it's only selected the part that you actually wanted. I think there's one right here too. Yeah, just from the edge all the way up around the selection, gone. And when you have all of those faces selected, just make sure you find the color that you want for the top. So now you have the top. Once again, select without continuous, select all of these faces, background, Control Shift I to switch it around, invert it, and select the dark color again, because you probably want the same dark color, because that way the stroke just fits in a lot better. There you go. That's the colors of this update thing done. Once again, you want to select it, make it a path, and let's just, you probably know this at this point if you have watched the whole video. Let's just speedrun this. And then we make it a custom shape like this. I'm just gonna not type what it says for once. Just drag it out, put it behind, and then stretch it out so it fits like that. And you make sure the colors are correct, and then just make the stroke like this. I suggest you having your title enabled as well, so you can just see so it fits well. It does. And there you go, that's the cool update thing. You also, of course, if you want to, you can make the highlights, yeah, like that. Maybe I didn't choose the best color, but who cares? This is just as an example. If you feel like this is too advanced and you just don't want to spend all of that time, in the iCard my old video is, so you can just go check that one out. It's a lot simpler, but it looks awful. It's a bad video as well, but yeah, go check that one out if you want to. Otherwise, just, yeah, this is how you do it. If you have a problem, you can just type in the comments. If I can help you, I will. Yeah, remember, this is just for Photoshop, so please stop commenting if this works with GIMP and iPhones and all of that stuff. It's a Photoshop tutorial, please. If you can use Photoshop, it's it's a Photoshop tutorial. It's not an iPhone tutorial, okay? Please. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Hope this works for you, and I'll see you another time. And don't forget to don't subscribe, because I'm Swedish and you probably don't want to have Swedish content in your inbox. Have a good one. Goodbye.